Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Hope you are doing well. Today in this video we'll be discussing about a very interesting topic. This is that time of the year where we receive a lot of gifts and we also gift our friends and relatives. But before receiving any gift or giving any gift, have we ever thought about the income tax that will be levied on the gift that we receive? Probably yes and no. So let us discuss in detail what will be the levy of income tax on the amount of gift that we receive and what are the intricacies that is involved and what are the limits that is prescribed, everything in detail. Let us start. Let us first understand the basics of taxation of gifts. Let us take a simple example. I have a piece of land. This piece of land is worth rupees 1 crore. I am the owner of this land and I gift this land to my friend without receiving any consideration. That means I transfer my piece of land to my friend for free of cost. So my friend is receiving a benefit worth rupees 1 crore free of cost. So to my friend who is receiving the gift, the person who is receiving the gift will have to pay tax. So the rationale behind taxing gifts is the person who is receiving the benefit, in this case the piece of land, is not giving any consideration for purchase of the land. So since he is receiving the land free of cost, the person receiving the land will have to pay tax on the piece of land that he is receiving. So does that mean whatever I give to my friend, let's say I give rupees 5,000, let's say I give rupees 10,000, is that 10,000 rupees taxable in the hands of my friend? The answer is no. So the Income Tax Act recognizes such small transactions and it has fixed a threshold limit of rupees 50,000. So any person receiving any benefit in excess of rupees 50,000 will have to pay tax on the entire amount. I pay my friend rupees 40,000 without receiving it back or without giving it as a loan. 40,000 is exempted because it is not exceeding rupees 50,000. If I give my friend rupees 60,000, my friend has to pay tax on the entire 60,000 and not on the 10,000 excess. So what we have to understand is the thumb rule is the person who is receiving the benefit will have to receive benefit in excess of rupees 50,000. Only then the entire amount of benefit will be taxed under income from other sources. So let us understand on transfer of what properties the person who is receiving the property will have to pay tax. In Income Tax Act, there are certain list of items on transfer of which the person who is receiving the property or the listed item will have to pay tax. So this is divided into two parts. One is the money that the person is receiving. I pay rupees 1 lakh to my friend. I do not receive anything back. The person who is receiving have to pay tax. Other than money, we'll have to pay tax on other properties. What are these other properties? Number one is immovable property, like how I mentioned in my example. I gifted a piece of land, which is an immovable property, on transfer of which the person who is receiving the property will have to pay tax. Immovable property can be both land and building or both. Shares or securities, jewelry, bullion, archaeological collections, or any other paintings or any antique paintings or antique archaeological pieces. So on transfer of these properties, either free of cost or for inadequate consideration. Let us understand what is this inadequate consideration. So as we have discussed the thumb rule that the person who is receiving the benefit should receive the benefit in excess of rupees 50,000. So as far as money is concerned, it is very straightforward. I pay 40,000, it is not taxable. I pay 60,000, it is taxable. As far as the other properties are concerned, on what basis do we decide that the person receiving the benefit is receiving a benefit in excess of rupees 50,000? So for any immovable property, the basis for consideration is the stamp duty value. Let's say a property is worth 1 crore, but the stamp duty value of that property is only 80 lakh rupees. So I transfer the property worth 80 lakh rupees, 80 lakh rupees being the stamp duty value. The person who is receiving the property will have to pay tax on the 80 lakh rupees and not on the market value of 1 crore. As far as shares, jewelry, bullion, and paintings are concerned, the basis for consideration is the fair market value. So that means one share of Infosys, which is trading at around 1,700 rupees per share, if I gift one share of Infosys to my friend, it is not taxable because it is worth rupees 1,700, which is below 50,000 rupees. But what if I gift my friend one share of MRF, which is trading at around 75,000 rupees? Since it is exceeding 50,000 rupees, the entire 75,000 will be taxed in the hands of the person receiving. So for shares, jewelry, bullion, etc., you have to see the fair market value as the base. For immobile property, you have to see the stamp duty value of the property. So now let us understand free of cost versus inadequate consideration. Free of cost is straightforward, like how I discussed. One share of MRF is worth rupees 75,000. I gift one share of MRF to my friend. This is exceeding 50,000, so my friend has to pay tax on the entire 75,000. Coming to inadequate consideration, let us keep the same example. One share of MRF being traded at around 75,000. I gift this one share to my friend, but in return, I receive rupees 40,000. I give my friend a share of MRF, which is worth 75,000. I get back rupees 40,000. So what is the net benefit that my friend is receiving? He is receiving a benefit worth rupees 35,000. So we all remember the thumb rule. The value of benefit should exceed 50,000. He is receiving benefit worth 75,000 and he is giving away 40,000. What is the net benefit he is receiving? Which is 35,000. So is 35,000 exceeding 50,000? No. So this transaction will not compel him to pay any tax because the value of benefit is not exceeding 50,000. Instead of 40,000, let us say he has given me only rupees 20,000 in return. So I gave him 75,000 worth share. He gave me back 20,000. So his net benefit is 55,000, which is exceeding 50,000. So he has to pay tax on the entire 55,000 worth of benefit. So this is inadequate consideration. Same goes with immobile property as well. Let us say a building is worth rupees 60 lakhs. Stamp duty value of that building is 60 lakhs. I own this building. I transfer this building in the name of my friend. He will pay me rupees 20 lakhs. So the net benefit that he is receiving is 40 lakhs, which is of course exceeding 50,000. So he has to pay tax on 40 lakhs and not on 60 lakhs. He has to pay tax on 40 lakhs. So this is inadequate consideration. If I receive nothing, which is transferring a building worth 60 lakhs free of cost, then he has to pay tax on the entire 60 lakhs. But if I receive something back, then the net benefit that my friend is receiving, he has to pay tax only on the net benefit that he is receiving. But you can ask me that, boss, we have seen people gifting so many things to their children, gifting properties to their children, gifting properties to their parents. People give jewelry as gifts on the wedding occasions. Does that mean everything that we receive is taxable under Income Tax Act? The answer is no. So for this rule, there are certain exceptions that we'll have to follow. That means even if we receive on these exceptional cases, it is not taxable under the Income Tax Act. So what are these exceptional cases? One is any gift received from a relative. So if your relative gifts you anything, your relative gives you money worth 10 lakh rupees, it is not taxable. Your relative gifts you any land, building, or shares, jewelry, anything, it is not taxable. The second exception is anything received in the occasion of your marriage. We have seen a lot of people gifting jewelry, gifting land, giving a lot of money, everything at the occasion of marriage is exempt from tax. Third, anything that is received by way of a will or inheritance. Children receiving any property or any money from their parents at the time of death, will, or inheritance is completely exempt. And receiving any gift from any trust which is registered under the Income Tax Act is basically under Section 12A of the Act. Any trust registered under Section 12A of the Act, if you receive anything from this trust, it is exempt from taxation. Let us take a very simple example. Let us assume that you live in a layout where the society members have formed an association for the welfare of the members, and you have scored a very good marks and you have got some rank in any of the national level exams, and you receive rupees 1 lakh as an award from the registered trust. So does that mean the 1 lakh rupees that you receive, since it is exceeding 50,000 rupees, it is taxable? The answer is no. The amount that you receive from a trust which is registered under 12A of the Act is exempt from gift taxation. There are a lot of other exceptions to this rule, but since those rules are a little more complicated, let us limit our discussion to these simple ones. So, if you receive any gift from your relative, if you receive at the time of your marriage, receive through any will or inheritance, or you receive any gift from a trust which is registered under 12A of the Income Tax Act, the benefit that you are receiving from any of these persons is not taxable under income from other sources. So these are the exceptions to the rule.
Right. So to revisit the provisions, remember the thumb rule always, the value of benefit you receive exceeding 50,000 rupees per annum. So the limit prescribed is for every financial year. Every financial year, you will have to make sure the value of benefit that you receive in aggregate from every person should not exceed 50,000 rupees. Anything that you receive free of cost, if the value exceeds 50,000 rupees, the entire amount is taxable. If you receive anything for inadequate consideration, which means you don't pay back the entire value of the property that you receive, if the benefit exceeds 50,000 rupees, pay tax only on the benefit that you receive. But there are a lot of questions that are still unanswered. For example, we discussed that if you receive anything from a relative is not taxable. But who is a relative? Who all are included in the definition of relative? And if I transfer a property to my friend for free of cost, for which he has paid gift tax, subsequently when he transfers the property to a third person, what will be the cost of acquisition for him because he has received the property free of cost? What if I receive 20,000 rupees from three different people? 20,000 individually is not exceeding 50,000 rupees, but in aggregate, it is exceeding 50,000 rupees. So should I have to pay tax on the entire 60,000 rupees or not? So all these questions we'll try to answer in part 2 of the video, along with a lot of practical issues and examples as well. So till then, stay tuned, like the video, share the video, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do it right away. See you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.